Okay, hi. This is maybe going to be one of the more honest videos of mine because I'm making it free. Like for every other video I had like a complete script or at least like a plan where I'm going, and this one I have points I want to cover, but like I started this this project by writing a script, and then I recorded it, but I just basically read it out and it didn't feel natural. So you can maybe guess that English isn't my first language. It's actually German. I know maybe one can recognize a few of these stickers. I am not a good English speaker. And because of that, I'm very self-conscious about it. So I try to start this project by writing an elaborate script and phrasing everything out. Then I read it out, and then I was sad because the way I made the video was not a way I was happy with. So cutting it was like impossible. I had like a small breakdown every few minutes because I just couldn't stand it. And then I decided, no, this is not what this channel is about. This channel, I made it basically because I'm someone who wants to talk about a lot of difficult topics and has friends and family who don't want to hear a lot about it. I love my friends, I love my family, and they are going to watch this video anyway if I ever post it. But I usually feel like I want to give them the choice if they want to listen, you know? And that's why I'm making this video like this now. Because, as I said, this channel is for me to basically just rage about things that make me mad, that matter to me. And this channel is not about me feeling bad because my videos don't have this sophisticated quality of like, I don't know, Philosophy Tube or someone like that. They don't. I'm fucking 19 sitting at my parents' house in the middle of the night. What do you expect? Authenticity. Yeah, let's give it a try. Now that we have the question of why does the accent sound so bad out of the way, let's get to the topic where I'm making this video. And for that you have to know another thing about me, because I am a history and sociology student. I was 19 and third semester. Crazy. And because of that, I feel very strongly about history sometimes. And I was just scrolling through YouTube and found Philosophy Tube's video, Witchcraft, Gender and Marxism. I watched it, went out feeling, yeah, now I'm very smart. That's just very smart, yeah. And then did I watch it again? I did for this video, but her video left questions in my head. And I wanted to answer them, because basically what she said about witchcraft did not match with the information I already knew. So I started to question a video and found out some interesting things which I want to cover in this video, but not in like a formal way of my script, but in an informal way, because that's my personality. I'm not formal. I hate being formal. One thing that when I watched her video like the second time, being like, okay, now I'm gonna find what I don't like. And I won't put footage of her saying stuff in here because the video was recorded pre-transitioning for her, and I want to make this as safe as possible for everyone to watch, in case anyone will. But yeah, the first thing I noticed when I watched this, looking for things that could explain this feeling that something didn't fit. She said that Silvia Federici, the person who wrote the book Caliban and the Witch, is not a historian or a sociologist or an anthropologist, something like that. No, she is a philosopher. And nothing against philosophy, it's totally based. I have Nietzsche. It's pronounced Nietzsche, by the way. I have philosophy and it's fun and stuff, but later on Philosophy Tube says basically like it gets the real philosophy behind the witch hunts were much more fascinating, and that was weird because the thing is, from my experience at college, so it might be very, very different in the UK, I don't know. But from my experience at college, that the way different disciplines deal with sources is, yeah, it varies a lot. In sociology, like, you quoted it, okay, it's fine, doesn't matter what the quality of the source is, doesn't matter how old it is, you quoted it, everything's fine, totally based. While in history, it's more like, okay, no, you can't quote things that are like 50 years old. Can't do that. It's not science. And yeah, so when a philosopher is writing a book about history, it's good to be careful, to say the least, because they have probably very different standards than historians, as we will see in this video. And later, Philosophy pointed out like the philosophy of the witch hunt, and that's also a weird thing no historian I know would say, because you can't force modern concepts on historical events. You don't do that. You can maybe go with, okay, in theory, this is my theory, now I apply it to a historical event. And to do that, you need historical facts. And what Philosophy Tube, like Abigail, in her video uses are not facts. And let's get into detail here. The first point I want to discuss is her saying witchcraft was an area which women dominated. Like, no. But you probably won't believe me, because who am I? So I found a scholar, which I'm going to quote. And she is not 100 years old. So Maggie Rosen is her name, and she is currently working on her PhD as far as I know. There was no discrimination based on gender when it came to having supernatural abilities, and there are no records to indicate that more women than men practiced witchcraft. The discrepancy lies in the accusation and conviction of witches. In the Malleus Maleficarum, which got written by the German monk Heinrich Kramer, there even is a whole chapter dedicated to the ways men practice witchcraft. And yeah, so if Silvia Federici would have read the most important book in the history of witches, I mean, there are also other important books, but this book gets sometimes even called the most dangerous book in history because it laid the theological foundation for the witch hunts. So, not reading this is not a good look when you're talking about witches and when you're writing a whole book about it. I also found a German scholar, no, she's from Austria actually, but her name is Stefanie Julia Kriewitz, and she wrote in 2017 about witches. Of course, witches, what else you do want to write about in Germany? Austria. She came to the following conclusion. The fact is that men did not play a marginal role in the witch trials, but neither did they play a particularly prominent role. But it's important to note that they were just as equally victims of the witch trials, although in a smaller number. Oh, fuck! So the whole theory that for capitalism to exist, women had to die, doesn't make sense. Fuck! Oh my god, I wouldn't have thought this would be so mean. I thought I was a nice person. Another thing which she mentioned in her book, not Silvia Federici, but Stefanie Julia Kriewitz, is that in Kärnten, a region of Austria, after 1630, only men were convicted of witchcraft. Before that, almost only women, and after that, almost only men. And she stated herself that this is not like a generalized thing, right? In Iceland, as an example, from, I guess, 110 accusations, only 10 were women, so there were large local discrepancies between the ways the different regions dealt with the gender of the people. And that did not most dominantly had a course in capitalism, but in the Bible translation. we will come back to the church later. So the Bible translation from the Protestant regions had witches in a female form, sorceress, while the Bible translation from the Catholic regions was from Greek, translated to Latin, and then to German. So they had the male form, which meant that in Protestant regions they could, based on the Bible, assume that only women were witches. So in Protestant regions they largely killed more women than men, and in like a large amount of men was killed in Catholic regions. So women don't have a monopoly on witchcraft. They don't have like the unique features necessary for like having the influence, and it wasn't also the reasons man and woman were prosecuted are pretty similar. The men who got prosecuted were mostly old vagrants and beggars, so outside of society, while many women were widows. The average age of a prosecuted woman was 50 years old, so they all, men and women, lacked a social support network, which made it easy to prosecute them. As Krivet sums it up. Here's my laptop again. The proportion of women amongst the victims averaged 80%, with peaks at 95 and minimum of 58. The predominance of women is therefore by no means to be denied, but to speak of a prosecution of women is very jarring. I translated it myself, so if you want to check the original art, I have more sources on PhilosophyTube. They are linked in the description. So yeah, basically the assumption that women were victims and were prosecuted for being women is wrong. So basically the historical foundation for the whole theory lacks. And that's bad if you want to do good science. Yeah. Another point that PhilosophyTube makes is about bringing people into a new economic order where they have to work for other people's stuff. And the thing is, you do know feudalism, right? I don't know if you do. I mean, you do, but from what I remember from history, is that English feudalism was even kinder than German feudalism. But yeah, pretending that under feudalism people were so free and women had so many rights is kind of euphemizing and romanticizing it, I think. Because as an example, in certain regions, the nobleman who was in charge could decide to who married who, and if he wanted to have sex with a woman, he could just claim the newlywed woman and the wedding night, because, I mean, she belongs to him, his property, right? Also, fear of witchcraft is not a new thing. Already in 1100 after Christ, fear of witches was a large deal, and Heinrich Kramer, who I already referred to, quotes as an example Seneca in his book. Another claim Abigail makes is the following. The goal of capitalist society is to transform life into the capacity to work. And here I have to admit that it's true. In a pre-capitalistic society, people worked less than like most of us work now. As an example, a factory worker in the year 1988 worked 200 hours more than a male peasant in the 30th century. So much for freedom. Freedom to work more, right? But the thing which made the people not go to work weren't witches who said, oh my god, the day is cursed, you have to stay at home. No, it was basically the church who had, at least the Catholic Church, had like 100 holidays per year where you don't work, you go to church, and then you celebrate or something like that. So over-highlighting the importance of religion and the church and making people afraid not to be good Christians, and by that I mean celebrating all the 100 holidays, wouldn't it like stop people from working a lot? Another claim PhilosophyTube makes is women weren't completely equal under feudalism either. So I've already talked about it a bit, but I want to get more into detail here. There was a large extent of inequality between men and women in medieval Europe. Women did not have the right to vote or to choose whether they wanted to marry, have children, or be in work in some instances. And another thing that she says, and that also Silvia Federici says in her book, is that especially midwives were prosecuted. That's a claim which I found in a lot of bad material. In the region of Trier in Germany, from 800 female victims, only 3 were midwives. Because, as I found in an article, many local judges considered it very unlikely for midwives to be witches, because first of all, why the hell should they kill the children they themselves had delivered? And secondly, they even often helped solving the mystery behind the death of a child. Another thing I want to talk about is timing in general. The argument from Federici, which Abigail Thorne is referring to, is basically, for capitalism to succeed, they had to reduce the power of women in society. But actually, as also Federici says it herself in her own book, with the monetization happening at the end of the Middle Ages, women actually got more freedom. So, as an example, many moved to cities, they introduced new laws, so they had businesses separated from those of the husband, so were basically independent in economy. They could even go into guilds sometimes. And thanks to monarchy, actually, a lot of women inherited much power, because they couldn't become a knight, but they could inherit the estate of the knight after he died, as an example. So also a lot of women got pretty rich because their husband died in wars and plagues, stuff like that. So it wasn't even it got better for women during the witch hunts. Not because of the witch hunts, but because the witch hunts were only weren't that big of a deal. People run around claiming that millions of women died, but as Philosophy Tube says itself, 60,000 women are an estimated number. Yeah, 60,000 people, of which around 80% were women, as already stated. And from them, around 25,000 people were murdered in Germany, or the Holy German Kingdom of, I don't know, Heiliges Römisches Reich Deutsche Nation. I don't fucking know how to translate that one. And now let's come to the fun part. Because, I watched her video, right? And at first, as I've already said, I went out feeling smart. Feeling I'm such a good person. I'm learning, right? I'm learning about new theories, and I'm learning about feminism and how important women are. And if I wouldn't have had a large witch phase as a child, and that also meant that I read books about witch hunts and witchcraft. And what I found out, what I learned back then didn't match with the new information I got. So at first I just felt this unpleasant feeling of cognitive dissonance, and then later I wanted to solve it. So I questioned myself, of course, and I did research, because I don't want to be wrong, but I also don't want Philosophy Tube's fancy YouTube channel to be wrong. I have probably built up some kind of parasocial relationship with her. I like to think that she makes well-resourced educational content. Yeah. And then, you already heard a lot of the things I found out in this video. But then I started wondering, okay, many of the things she's saying would probably initiate some kind of cognitive dissonance for many people, I'm not special in that regard. So why don't we all question it? And why do I find people on Twitter referring Federici's theory, basically claiming, capitalism had to mass murder women? It's no, psst. Yeah, so Now I want to talk about the style of Abigail Thorne's video, which made it harder for, like, at least me to question it. So, as one might probably guess, I'm not having, like, the basic normal brain, you know? I'm having a few mental disorders which make it harder for me to focus than for many other people. So the way that Abigail builds up her video isn't really helping me to focus on the content itself. You know, she's interrupting it for cheap jokes about Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, and she has a scene where she's standing in like a white setting smearing herself with fake blood. I mean, what? Why? I mean, it looks cool. It looks so fucking cool, and it's making it still harder to focus on the content. And then there are like the soft noises in the background, fire crackling, the music, and the lights which are changing. Her voice is very calm and soothing, and I like it. But she puts on a show as well. I mean, she is starting by reading out Shakespeare. So then I had the conclusion that I viewed this video when I watched it as first more as some kind of entertainment than informational content. And I let myself be tricked into believing that I had still watched for the informational content. I got out being like, yeah, well, I learned. While I only let myself be sprinkled with like soft-spoken words and, I don't know, weird ideas which don't make sense if you put them in context of history. Anyway, that's what I'll call the infotainment trap from now on. For the word infotainment, in German we have a German word. It's Kofferwort, basically a suitcase word. I don't know if there's an equivalent in English. But it basically means that you put two words together and then they're one. So yeah, that's what that is. I mean, it's basically a combination of information and entertainment. And the problem with infotainment is that it's hard to notice all the stuff that you're consuming. I mean, infotainment has a lot of like positive traits. So as an example, they can help kids organize a learning experience for themselves. It's wonderful for like kind of neurodiverse people like me to, yeah, it's not draining me. I can watch it and I can learn, and in the end I'm not feeling like a book fall on my head. On the other hand, as Wikipedia puts it, content sold as edutainment, which is basically the over category for infotainment, is mostly only about half knowledge. So breaking down complex topics for the broader audience, it's not necessarily bad, but it can be dangerous when the audience doesn't even recognize the messages they get fed. As an example, in Germany we have a YouTuber, KuchenTV. He's trash, don't watch him. I mean, I watched him when I was a kid because he was making fun of YouTubers I didn't like. Basic stuff you watch when you're a kid and think that you're smart. And now I'm not watching him anymore, but I've noticed that, as an example, he now makes a lot of content about feminist documentaries and how trashy they are, how they are only about man-hating, right? How they're all oversensitive. And that's a weird message, right? And now imagine a kid finds this channel because, I mean, it's funny, he makes fun of YouTuber I don't like, so I watch him. Then one starts to watch the anti-feminist videos as well, and then in the end, at least from what I know, I mean, I saw a screenshot about it, is that he basically publicly justified hitting his girlfriend. So you can easily go down a very dark road without even noticing it, because there are like a lot of small steps, and it's just entertainment. I mean, we are always learning when we are experienced, so we need to be careful what messages we're getting out. And I mean, I'm not even talking about like just subliminal messages only words can send. Although, of course, in Abigail Thorne's video, misogynistic language is not a problem. But the misinformation that she is spreading in her video And fun fact as far of what I know, Federici came out as a TERF. But yeah, the messages that Silvia Federici has in her book and these misinformed messages that Abigail is spreading in her video basically are going to be heard and used a lot by radical feminists. And I don't mean like the feminists who hate all men, but the feminists who like hate trans people and hate sex workers. The uncool kind of feminist, right? So it's not good given this misinformation and a big platform. Not if you're like, I mean, it's not even good if like a channel like mine with like 20 followers would do a video about that. But as a large YouTuber, you should definitely double check if you're talking about topics like that, which will easily get instrumentalized by the wrong side. I mean, instrumentalizing stuff isn't even good when it's the right side doing it, right? Or the left, I don't know. Another thing which I found very interesting is questioning how my perspective has influenced the way I view this video. So I sent a video to my most conservative and intellectual friend. Don't cancel me. Yes, I'm friends with conservatives. Like, one. And I'm going to read out now what he said about this video after I mentioned to him that he please calls Abigail with she, her pronouns because she's trans. And I don't like people misgendering people. He responded. Basically was, oh, no, everything makes sense. So she goes into the victim role here from the start, and I had wondered how a man could get so much into the feminist swamp. I like him, okay? I like him. Well then, it's very consistent. The theory is both identity forming and it also indirectly emphasizes the importance of her because the whole history, witch burnings, discrimination, only took place to keep women small and to exclude trans men. She should really come down to earth and understand that not the whole world, history, revolves around her. So to sum it up, her theory creates a prehistory for herself, with in any case impression that trans people were consciously suppressed for centuries, which is not wrong in principle. But from this one could get the idea to say, if these people were suppressed, then they must have certain qualities that were consciously suppressed by the capitalists, because maybe they could have been dangerous to them. I can't believe that I had to watch 25 minutes of a video in English that is all about self-affirmation. Yeah. So I definitely don't agree with him. But he went into this from like a conservative perspective and hearing about, women were so special that they were murdered for being women because they weren't just sex objects to men. No, they were also against capitalism. That probably insulted his soul. And yeah, I mean, I went into this with, oh yeah, women are important, good to know. And went out thinking I'm smart. That's, how different perspectives can influence the viewing of something. So, to sum it up, I wasn't wrong, but technically, neither was Philosophy Tube. I know it sounds weird, I've complained for like, I don't know, probably an hour now in my bedroom about it. And let me explain. The thing is, as I've stated in the beginning, that different disciplines deal with sources in a different way. So that it's technically not wrong. She is just quoting a book. And I mean, okay, she's not double checking it, okay? She isn't reading critical analysis. She isn't doing like reading secondary literature about it, right? Which you should do if you do work with a book. But she is just quoting. And that's fine. The problem is that historians haven't really criticized this book a lot. And if you search out for like normal articles about it, you will almost only find positive stuff. I found 2 articles from French scholars. I found in English translation, but I also read parts of the French one, so I know it's the same, which published it in their own small, very small blogs. So finding critical literature about it is not easy, because many historians were just like, yeah, no, it's just basic entertainment, it's not history, it's not none of our business, basically. And that meant that many media just trusted the source, the book from Federici, Caliban and the Witch, because they weren't told not to trust it. And that's a problem. Abigail probably read articles about it and probably tried to double check everything. But historians weren't loud enough. Science wasn't loud enough, so she could claim it to be a scientific book, which it wasn't, without scientists like criticizing her for it. And that's a problem. So I can't really blame Abigail like on a large basis. I mean, she makes good videos and they are fancy and artsy and watching them is awesome. And that's fine. The thing which I find a bit problematic about that is Abigail claims about herself and about her channel to give away her Master of Arts and Philosophy free after the English government tripled university fees. And that's where the problem comes. I mean, of course, there are lots of problems. Another problem is coming, okay? A lot of problems. But she basically claims to come from a scientific perspective, because at least I would naively assume that philosophy is science. Totally based. It's probably science. I'm not a philosopher. I'm a sociologist, hopefully in the future. But by saying that, by referring to our Master of Arts, people are trusting her more than they would probably trust me. And they would probably trust me more than they did before, after I've mentioned, yeah, well, I study at university and I have books. Because people are dumb. People get tricked into believing stuff. People want to believe, like the people following her on YouTube and Twitter and Tumblr, they want to believe that Abigail Thorne makes good content, honest, good philosophical content. And that the theory is trash that she's posing is something that people don't know. They just believe her that she knows what she's doing. And that's like not good. Because she has such a large platform. She has a lot of people trusting her, not just that she makes good entertaining content, but good informational content as well. I mean, she claims to give away her Master of Arts for free. It's not just, yeah, well, I studied philosophy and I think I might have some interesting perspectives on life and I want to share them with you. No, it's give away my Master of Arts for free. She is mentioning it on at least Tumblr and I think also Twitter and Patreon. So like a lot. That's the way she introduced her channel. So she wants people to know it. And she decided to, yes, I want people to see my channel as information. And if you claim that not just basic information, no, information on university level, you better do the science that's necessary to do and be that kind of channel. And I mean, she has like a lot of very good videos. But now I can't watch any one of them without feeling the need to fact check them. Because this video, Witchcraft and Marxism, these were misinformation. It was a video, like the half of the time was just spreading misinformation, and that's not okay. And we should, as a community of people, address something like that. And I mean, she seems so smart and trustworthy, and who am I to criticize her? I'm fucking 19, sitting on my bedroom floor, my parents' house, and yeah. But that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter who is posing the argument should matter. And I know that's not how human brains work. Okay, so I think I'm done with this video now. I'm done with my script. I mean, still have some fancy quotes I can add, but thing is, this bottle is not empty. So why not talk about ContraPoints?